The sharp snip of scissors slicing through nylon rang out across Elmwood Lane like a firecracker on a quiet night. I was sipping coffee at my kitchen table, scrolling through emails, when I caught sight of Linda Harper, our neighborhood's self-proclaimed guardian of order, standing under my son's basketball hoop. She clutched a pair of gardening shears, and the net hung in shredded strips, swaying in the late afternoon breeze. My jaw dropped. This wasn't just a petty complaint, this was destruction, plain and simple. What Linda didn't know was that half the block was watching, some with phones in hand, recording her every move. Her smug smile said it all. She thought she'd won some grand victory for neighborhood standards. Linda was a fixture in our suburban community, always decked out in a starched navy blazer, beige slacks, and a laminated badge she'd printed herself, proclaiming her Elmwood Community Standards Officer. No such title existed in our HOA bylaws, but that never stopped her. My son, Ethan, 15 and determined to make the high school basketball team, had put up that hoop 2 weeks earlier. It was a standard setup, bolted to our garage, with a plain white nylon net you'd find at any Walmart. Nothing flashy, just a tool for Ethan to practice his free throws, as his coach had urged. Most neighbors loved it. Mrs. Callahan from next door brought Ethan iced tea on hot days, and old Mr. Thompson would pause his walks to critique Ethan's jump shot. But Linda? She'd been circling our house like a hawk, clipboard in tow, muttering about unapproved modifications since day one. Her campaign started with notes in our mailbox. The first was on fancy letterhead she'd designed, citing a non-existent Section 3.2 about needing HOA approval for exterior changes. The second warned of escalated measures if we didn't remove the non-compliant basketball structure within 48 hours. The third arrived with a door knocked so loud it rattled the windows, demanding immediate compliance. Linda thrived on these power trips. Since moving here 4 years ago, she'd made it her mission to police everything mailboxes an inch too wide, lawn ornaments deemed tacky, or Halloween decorations lingering past November 1st. She turned minor quirks into neighborhood crises with the precision of a drill sergeant. But cutting Ethan's net? That was a new low. I watched from my window as Linda folded her shears, tucked them into her oversized tote, and snapped photos of the ruined net, likely for her evidence binder. She documented every neighbor's supposed infractions like she was prepping for a courtroom drama. That's when Ethan's mom, Rachel, stormed out of the house across the street. Rachel was the peacemaker type, always choosing calm words over conflict. But seeing someone destroy her kid's property? That flipped a switch. "What do you think you're doing?" she demanded, her voice sharp enough to cut through the tension. Linda didn't flinch. She waved her self-made HOA handbook like it was a legal decree. "I'm upholding community standards," she declared, chin high. "This net violates aesthetic guidelines and lacks board approval." "It's a net, Linda," Rachel snapped, stepping closer. "A piece of rope on a hoop. How does that violate anything?" Linda flipped open her handbook, pointing to a highlighted line. Section 9.1 requires all outdoor recreational equipment to be approved by the Architectural Committee. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "There is no Architectural Committee, and you're not on any board. You made that title up." By now, neighbors were stepping outside. Mrs. Callahan filmed from her porch. The Parkers huddled on their lawn, murmuring. Even shy Mr. Lee peeked through his blinds. Linda, sensing the crowd turning, raised her voice. "I'm entrusted to protect this community's values. If we allow this today, next it'll be skate ramps and kiddie pools. Where does it end?" "With reason," Mrs. Callahan shouted, "which you clearly lost somewhere." A few neighbors chuckled, and Linda's face flushed crimson. She wasn't used to public pushback. Her usual tactic was cornering people one-on-one, wearing them down with jargon until they gave in. But this? A kid's net destroyed in broad daylight? The optics were awful, even for her. "I'll file a complaint with the HOA board," Linda huffed, retreating toward her house. "This isn't over," Rachel called after her. "Go ahead and explain why you think vandalism is enforcement." That night, something rare happened in our sleepy suburb. Neighbors started talking real conversations, not just small talk about the weather. We gathered at the Callahan's living room, sharing stories of Linda's overreach. Mrs. Callahan dug into the actual HOA bylaws on her laptop, finding no rule against basketball hoops. The Parkers shared security footage clearly showing Linda with her shears, cutting the net. Mr. Thompson, a retired paralegal, noted that her actions weren't just overstepping, they were vandalism, potentially criminal. The more we talked, the clearer it became. Linda's authority was a sham. Her title, her letterhead, her committee, all fabricated. The HOA rules only covered major structures, not a simple net. Rachel, a marketing manager with a knack for presentations, took charge. She compiled videos, photos, Linda's fake letters, and the real bylaws into a 25-page dossier. By Wednesday, we'd called an emergency HOA meeting for Thursday at the community center. Word spread like wildfire, and when the meeting started, over 50 residents crammed into a room meant for 20. Linda arrived late, probably hoping for a grand entrance. Instead, she faced a united front. Rachel stood at the projector, calm but commanding. "We're here to address a serious issue," she began. "One neighbor has been posing as an HOA official, inventing rules, and escalating to property destruction." Her presentation was relentless. Footage of Linda cutting the net, images of her fake badge, side-by-side comparisons of her made-up rules versus the actual bylaws. Linda tried to interrupt, claiming she was protecting property values. Mrs. Callahan countered with photos of Linda's own yard, which broke 3 real HOA rules she'd ignored while harassing others. When Linda insisted she had implied authority, Mr. Thompson read the bylaws aloud. Only elected board members could enforce rules, and only with a vote. The real HOA president, Susan Carter, spoke up. "We never authorized Ms. Harper. She's never even attended a board meeting." Linda's facade crumbled. "I was trying to help," she shrieked. "Someone has to care about standards." Rachel's voice cut through. "By cutting a kid's net? By bullying families with fake documents?" The room was silent, every eye on Linda. No one looked sympathetic. The vote was unanimous. 52 residents censured Linda for impersonation, harassment, and vandalism. The board issued a cease and desist letter, and several neighbors considered police reports. 3 days later, Linda's employer, a local law firm, caught wind of the scandal. Someone had sent them the footage and dossier. By Friday, Linda was fired for conduct unbecoming a legal professional. On Saturday, Ethan hung a new Need a Sturdy chain one that made a satisfying clank with every shot. Half the neighborhood cheered as he sank his first free throw. Linda's house went quiet. Her community standards officer sign vanished, and her patrols stopped. 2 weeks later, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. By Friday, she was Ganino goodbye, no forwarding address. Ethan made the varsity team that fall, his free throws the best on the squad, thanks to his practice. The neighborhood returned to its quiet rhythm, where kids could play without fear of scissors or fake rules. Linda's reign taught us a lesson. Real authority comes from truth, not laminated badges. Her downfall, losing her job, reputation, and home, was a reminder that petty tyrants fall hard when communities stand together. What do you think? Have you ever dealt with a bully like Linda, or faced unfair rules in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about standing up to injustice and how far is too far when enforcing standards. Your voice matters. Join the conversation.